I know all the fighters and their backstories, and I've been into it for a few years now. He likes it, but I'm definitely the one that's...
I don't know, just figure it out. And so like it took me all this time. And then I saw Lionel Richie coming. I saw an empty seat next to me, and I was like, please don't make this man sit next to this stupid.
I had a great-grandmother who was blind but could see spirits, and so I have stuff in my family of either...
Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly have never exactly fit the mold of a typical Hollywood couple. From the moment they connected, their story swirled with rumors of destiny, drama, and a dash of danger. People couldn't look away, partly because this duo seemed too outlandish to last, yet too obsessed with each other to let go. What started as an unconventional romance quickly evolved into a high-profile spectacle, complete with eccentric rituals, oversharing interviews, and countless are they or aren't they breakups. But beneath the public theatrics, something has always felt off. Were these two truly twin souls, or was the chaos an early warning sign that a final rupture was brewing? In a twist no one quite saw coming, Megan Fox is now speaking out, or at least making it known, that she's reached her limit. The tension reached a new peak during a Thanksgiving getaway that began with holiday cheer and ended in heartbreak. Adding an even heavier layer, Megan is pregnant. In a startling turn, MGK's alleged texts and shady behavior have pulled the final thread that's been holding this pair together. If you've been following them, you'll know the cracks have always been visible. Yet this time feels different. Suddenly, the world is less amused by their flame-laced romance and more concerned about whether they've finally scorched the very foundation they built. So, how did we get from blood-drinking confessions to possibly final goodbyes? And is this really their last breakup, or just another chapter in a never-ending saga? Keep watching to discover how their apparently enchanted union might have crashed and burned right at the moment they were supposed to be celebrating a new life. Because if there's one thing we can say about Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, it's that their story never runs short on twists, and we're only getting started.
Mine was, I remember walking up. It was a circle of about 20 people, and you're in the forest or in the jungle. You're dieting. They're not eating past 5 p.m. or drinking water or anything. And I was the last person to go up and take it. And I remember watching everybody go up and take theirs. They had one cup, and they get to me, and the shaman says something to the translator, and the translator goes.
Before examining the meltdown that happened around Thanksgiving, we need to rewind. The beginning of Megan Fox and MGK's romance wasn't merely unconventional, it was the stuff of celebrity legend. They met on the set of a film, and from the start, they spoke of some almost cosmic attraction. MGK, known to his friends as Coulson, went so far as to say he'd been infatuated with Megan since childhood. Megan, on the other hand, described their bond as if she'd found her twin flame. It sounded potent and mystical, even if it left outsiders scratching their heads. They seemed determined to stand out in every way possible. Their public appearances had a raw, edgy quality. Think black leather, neon hair, and cryptic social media posts. While many Hollywood couples might keep their love low-key at first, these two set their relationship on display from day one. Part of that may have been the swirl of gossip. Megan was stepping away from her marriage with Brian Austin Green, and MGK had never been shy about living a rock star lifestyle. What really fueled the initial frenzy were the bizarre revelations, like when they claimed to drink each other's blood in small rituals. One moment, Megan clarified they weren't literally passing around goblets of blood. The next, she'd casually confirm that, yes, they do sip each other's blood for ritual purposes. Then there was the matter of MGK's engagement ring design, specifically crafted with thorns so that if Megan tried to remove it, she'd feel pain. These details, while sensational, also hinted that this relationship might be more about drama and intensity than stability. Many fans admired their rebellious romance, but others suspected that these were not good signs for the long run. Yet for a while, the gossip only stoked their flame.
I had a great-grandmother who was blind but could see spirits, and so I have stuff in my family of either it's legitimate or people think that we are psychic. I think everyone has some sort of psychic ability. It's just about the brain being open, and you're using your brain more than other people. But yeah, I'm not people always ask me to come on and do readings and stuff like that, and I'm not a professional.
Far from denying the rumors, they embraced the chaos. From magazine covers featuring them draped over each other to eyebrow-raising interviews about how they'd found their soul's reflection, Megan and MGK seemed determined to show the world they were the new definition of meant to be. Maybe it was reckless, maybe it was exhilarating, But either way, they were hooked on each other, and it seemed on the attention. But as time went on, the cracks became harder to ignore. While some thought it was all an act to maintain a headline-grabbing image, others realized that the turbulence might actually be real. The problem? A relationship that starts at a 10 tends to have nowhere to go but down once real life or real issues kick in. And when they did, the drama truly began. But if you thought the odd beginning was a sign of trouble ahead, just wait. Because as soon as these two declared eternal love, new controversies started piling on. The first big wave of drama came after they officially confirmed their engagement in January 2022. Typically, engagements bring a sense of calm or at least a breath of relief. Here was proof they were on the same page, ready to plan a future together. But in this case, it wasn't simply about a proposal. It was about a proposal with a ring that physically hurt Meghan if she tried to slip it off. Whether it was romantic, controlling, or both, fans couldn't decide. All they knew was that it was very MGK to reveal something this peculiar. Then came the blood rituals, which Meghan casually mentioned in interviews. While she tried to clarify they only consumed tiny drops, the public latched onto the idea of them performing vampire-like ceremonies in private. Some fans admired the fearless, "we don't care what anyone thinks" approach, while others worried it was a sign of a disturbing pattern. Were these two bonding or losing themselves in a twisted game of intensity?
Can be a lot of different things and a lot of different people at any given moment, but he has a really pure soul and he can be very vulnerable, which is what I think you experienced that day, where there was a breakthrough where he wasn't behind his ego and he was just like, you know, I'm hurting today and I don't feel proud of myself today. And I think that's probably what really spoke to you, right, is that you got to see somebody not hiding from their failures.
Not long after, rumors surfaced that they were already fighting behind the scenes. Friends, if you believe the tabloids, expressed concerns that the pace of their relationship was too hot not to burn. It got to the point where everyone had an opinion. Some found it enthralling, others found it unhinged. The press coverage escalated, talking about Meghan's transformation from a quieter figure to a partner in MGK's boisterous lifestyle. Still, they marched forward. Their social media posts read like the script of a cosmic love story, complete with Meghan calling MGK her twin soul, referencing astrological signs and spiritual connections. Meanwhile, MGK boasted that Meghan was a literal manifestation of his dreams. But behind the scenes, things were far from perfect. Like many couples who dive in headfirst, they soon had to grapple with the realities of trust, compatibility, and big personalities. By late 2022, whisperings of breakups began swirling. One minute, Meghan would gush about how MGK's presence was magical. The next, she'd purge her Instagram account of him. Their fans, or critics, couldn't tell if it was a performance or actual heartbreak. The truth, as it often does, likely lay somewhere in between. They were addicted to the highs of their closeness, but equally prone to the lows of betrayal, suspicion, and jealousy. And that was before the real meltdown. According to insiders, the breakups and reconciliations soon became a vicious cycle, enough to worry those close to Meghan that this relationship wasn't just passionate, but dangerously unsteady. If they were riding a roller coaster, it was one with broken tracks ahead. But the actual tipping point? That would come during what should have been a cheerful Thanksgiving holiday. Before we delve into the Thanksgiving disaster, let's acknowledge the pattern that built up to it.
I don't know, just figure it out. And so like it took me all this time. And then I saw Lionel Richie coming. I was like, I saw an empty seat next to me and I was like, please don't make this man sit next to this stupid. And he came over and he sat down and like, he like inspected it and touched it.
Yeah,
and then we were so close. I was scared to clap for Wayne Brady. So every time he made a joke, I just looked like I was unentertained.
Megan Fox and MGK had a habit of going hot and cold faster than the weather in spring. Publicly, they projected a united front. Twin flames who overcame all obstacles. Privately, they were dealing with issues of trust and loyalty, or the lack thereof. Early cheating rumors started quietly, with tabloids speculating about MGK's on-the-road lifestyle. He was known for a rebellious rock image, and many questioned whether that included flirting or hooking up with other people. Meghan was no stranger to betrayal, having dealt with a tumultuous past in her personal life. So, when speculation began that MGK might be entertaining side interests, fans wondered if it could unravel them. Interestingly, every time rumors heated up, Meghan and MGK would appear in public looking closer than ever. She'd show up on his concert tours, wearing show-stopping outfits, and post moody yet devoted captions on Instagram. Their brand thrived on unpredictability. If they were seen fighting one day, they'd be spotted passionately making up the next. This emotional whiplash added to their appeal in the public eye. But behind the scenes, it was draining. Even so, they kept forging ahead. Gossip outlets reported breakups that lasted mere days. They'd remove pictures of each other from Instagram, only to post new ones a week later with lovey-dovey hashtags. For some fans, it was romantic, proof that their bond could withstand anything. For others, it was toxic, evidence that they were trapped in a cycle of drama they couldn't escape. By the time they announced that Megan was pregnant, everyone hoped the news would usher in a new era of maturity. Maybe MGK would settle down, and maybe Megan, a mom to 3 kids already, would feel a renewed sense of stability. Unfortunately, as soon as the pregnancy was confirmed, the rumor mill started churning again.
Being like, crucifying me for being plastic or whatever. So if you were to ask her, she would be like, well, that's because she perpetuates an unhealthy standard of beauty, right? And so here I am, I'm gonna be fully transparent. I still won't win because there are some girls who have been transparent.
Could MGK be consistent enough to handle fatherhood responsibly? Would Megan finally push him to get rid of his wilder habits? As we now know, the answer would soon arrive in the form of an explosive confrontation, right when they were supposed to be celebrating Thanksgiving in the snowy wonderland of Vail, Colorado. Next, we uncover the phone discovery that tore their winter getaway, and perhaps their entire relationship apart. Thanksgiving is usually a time to relax with loved ones, enjoy good food, and remember what you're grateful for. But for Megan Fox and MGK, their Thanksgiving in Vail turned into a Thanksgiving from the depths of conflict. Rumor has it they arrived ready to enjoy some cozy winter ambiance. Think hot cocoa by the fire, matching sweaters, and scenic mountain views. But that image of holiday bliss came crashing down when Megan allegedly discovered something troubling on MGK's phone. It's unclear what exactly she saw, but insiders say it involved explicit communications with other women, which confirmed long-held suspicions she'd had about his loyalty. Some claim it was merely flirtatious messages. Others insist it was far more incriminating. Either way, the damage was instant. For Megan, trust, if there was any left, evaporated on the spot. Right there in the middle of Thanksgiving celebrations, she confronted him. It wasn't a quiet heart-to-heart, but a dramatic showdown in which she told him to pack up and leave. Imagine the whiplash. One moment, they're sipping cider or planning holiday activities. The next, Megan is done. Period. Insiders describe the tension as suffocating, with MGK stumbling for explanations and Megan laying out her evidence. Talk about going from Hallmark movie to daytime talk show meltdown in a flash. Perhaps the most striking part is that Megan didn't wait until they flew back home.
With like ego death or whatever, like what you said. But there's also the aspect which I learned, which is like, you can unlock. This is clearly how so many people, especially, down there in South America, like that route for sure showed them.
She ended it in the thick of the holiday weekend. She wanted him out immediately. This is where the real heartbreak sets in because Megan, reportedly around 6 months pregnant, doesn't need that kind of stress. She'd been hoping the holiday break would provide some quiet time together, a moment to strengthen what was left of their bond. Instead, it confirmed that the emotional roller coaster wasn't just a feature of their relationship, it was the entire ride. The fallout was swift. Sources say MGK tried to apologize, claiming that if he ever did physically cheat, it wasn't recent. But to Megan, crossing emotional lines is just as unforgivable. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and exhausted by his ongoing inability to curb his impulses. For her, this wasn't just a petty argument. It was the final straw. So how did a couple so enthralled with each other reach a crisis point that abrupt? Some believe MGK's rock persona is partly to blame. Living in the fast lane with groupies and admirers at every turn is a recipe for temptation. Add to that Megan's prior trust issues and the added pressure of a high-profile pregnancy, and the outcome seems less surprising. But wait, there's another layer to this meltdown. MGK's loose lips about the baby's gender and the backlash from Megan's circle. Let's dig in. For a brief moment, their pregnancy announcement felt like a redemption arc. Megan, who dealt with heartbreak in a prior marriage, seemed genuinely hopeful that bringing new life into the world with MGK might unify their bond. Yes, some fans were skeptical, but others thought maybe this is what they need, a chance to settle into something deeper than flashy headlines. Yet almost immediately, rumors flew that MGK was too loose with private information. According to sources, Meghan wanted to keep details of the pregnancy hush-hush, including the baby's gender. She was still healing from a miscarriage they reportedly experienced the year before.
I think it's sinister. I think it's evil. And I don't think people understand we've come to this place where we grasp like bad. But then when it comes to a celebrity, all of that is thrown out the window. Maybe it was worse back then. I actually don't think so. I think with the invention of social media, it's so accessible now that it's much worse.
Which added emotional weight to the experience. But MGK, he couldn't resist dropping hints. He'd speak publicly about wanting a boy, leading many to speculate that the baby was indeed male. Meghan's friends saw this as yet another breach of trust. If he couldn't keep something so personal under wraps, how could she trust him to be discreet about more serious matters? Then came Thanksgiving, where the final blow landed. The heartbreak wasn't just about cheating messages. It was also the realization that MGK might never truly respect her boundaries. She was carrying their child, yet he was apparently risking their relationship for fleeting thrills. Fans who once admired their rebellious spirit turned critical, pointing out that no matter how edgy a couple is, there should still be a foundation of respect. Sources close to Meghan say that the emotional toll is immense. She's dealt with the excitement and vulnerabilities of pregnancy while simultaneously fielding MGK's drama. She might be a Hollywood star, but that doesn't mean she's immune to heartbreak, stress, or the worry of raising another child under chaotic circumstances. Her friends, who were already skeptical of MGK, have now rallied around her, offering support and urging her to stay away from the turmoil. Meanwhile, MGK, stunned by how quickly she pulled the plug, is reportedly scrambling for ways to mend fences. He thinks that because they share a baby, she'll eventually come around. But insiders warn that this time is truly different. Meghan has walked out on him before, but never with such finality. Perhaps the reality of having a child on the way has forced her to reevaluate whether the drama is worth it. But if you think a new baby might bring them back together, stick around, because the next chapter suggests their cycle of chaos might be running out of second chances.
I have this thing in my life where I just like run everyone away that loves me. And so Cameron loves me, and I have this thing where I was like, you can't love me too much, because I'm gonna run you away. I'm gonna snap. And so I would always call Cameron, and he would always answer, and he would kind of just, give me advice.
One phrase that's been tossed around to describe Meghan and MGK's relationship is a never-ending high school romance. On the surface, it's about intense emotions, jealousy, and public displays of devotion. But beneath that is a pattern of immaturity. Heated breakups, suspicious rebounds, cryptic social media clues, and then tearful reunions. This has happened so often that fans have lost count of their breakups. The difference is that now, with a baby in the equation, the stakes are higher. Insiders claim Meghan's patience is spent. She's not interested in living in a cycle that mirrors teenage drama. She's 38, she has 3 children from her previous marriage, and she's expecting her 4th. The last thing she needs is a partner who can't keep it together for one holiday weekend. Beyond the phone fiasco, rumors swirl that MGK expected the pregnancy to act as a security blanket. He figured that once Meghan was carrying his child, she'd stay no matter what. That miscalculation might be his biggest error to date. Close sources reveal that Meghan's friends have long disliked MGK. They supported her attempts to find happiness, but behind closed doors, they warned she could do better. They feared his chaotic lifestyle would keep dragging her into heartbreak. Now they're relieved she's finally taking a stand, even if it means going through a difficult breakup while pregnant. Will they reconcile yet again? It's possible. The pair is infamous for defying logic. However, those closest to Meghan insist that something truly snapped this time. She's not posting cryptic quotes and then returning to him a week later. Instead, she's focusing on her well-being and preparing for the baby's arrival. To many, that signals a fundamental shift. Meanwhile, MGK faces a public relations nightmare.
A lot by the people who either want to see you in one way or aren't used to seeing you or want to see you in another way.
Right.
So how does that affect your decision making?
I try to just mainly I'm just happy that I'm working and that I'm still working and I continue to get these opportunities, but I try to make choices that are different.
His brand relies on being the edgy musician who flirts with chaos. But that persona is less cool when he's publicly accused of betraying the mother of his unborn child. Even fans who once adored his rebellious image are questioning his judgment. It's one thing to be wild on stage, it's another to be reckless in personal relationships. So, where does this roller coaster end? Let's wrap up by examining whether Meghan is truly out for good, and how this might change the course of their tumultuous story. As we stand now, Megan Fox appears determined to leave the high school drama in the past. She's reportedly 6 months pregnant, which places her due date around March. Whether MGK will be at her side in the delivery room remains unclear. Given their track record, it wouldn't shock anyone if they reconciled at the last minute, swearing to be twin flames once more. Yet the gravity of this breakup feels different. Meghan, ever protective of her children, is prioritizing a peaceful environment over chaotic passion. Let's not forget that Meghan has been in the public eye long enough to recognize when the cost of a relationship outweighs the spark that once made it irresistible. She's endured tabloid scrutiny before, navigated a divorce, and come out the other side. Now, with an unborn child on the line, she may not be willing to spin the relationship roulette wheel one more time for the sake of fleeting chemistry. This isn't just about flirting or petty arguments anymore. It's about trust, sanity, and the well-being of her growing family. Meanwhile, MGK faces a stark choice. Either evolve into a mature partner capable of respecting boundaries, or lose Meghan for good. His pattern of juggling a rock star image with real-life responsibilities has hit a very public, very messy wall.
I know all the fighters and their backstories, and I've been into it for a few years now. He likes it, but I'm definitely the one that's more obsessed with it. I was actually at the Conor Khabib fight a couple of years ago when all of that chaos happened and everyone had to run. We had to escape when they started jumping the ring. I don't know if you guys remember that.
If he wants to remain in her life, it'll likely require a serious pivot away from the endless cycle of breakups and dramatic stunts. People often say, love conquers all, but love can't survive repeated betrayals, especially when there's a vulnerable child involved. So, is this truly the end, or will Meghan and MGK rise from the ashes once again? Only time will tell. But if history has taught us anything, it's that this couple's drama is never fully resolved. Still, for now, Meghan has slammed the door, and fans are cheering her on for prioritizing her own peace. She's spent years in the spotlight, and if she wants to step out of the chaos, she's earned that choice. People often mistake stability for dullness, but in reality, it's the bedrock of a healthy home, something Meghan seems more committed to than ever. One thing is certain, the rest of us will be watching from the sidelines, waiting to see if they manage another shocking reconciliation, or if this chapter finally closes for good. Will MGK truly change his ways, or will he remain the chaotic, self-styled rebel who tested Meghan's last nerve? As the new year approaches, and with Meghan's due date looming, the clock is ticking. This time, the entire trajectory of their relationship could shift once and for all. Until we know for sure, remember that relationships that burn too bright often burn out just as fast. And for Meghan Fox, who has lived through enough heartbreak already, maybe stepping away from the fire is the smartest move she's ever made. She has children to care for, a baby on the way, and a career that doesn't need her locked in a toxic loop. If MGK wants to be part of her future, he'll have to show more than rock star swagger. He'll need to prove that he's truly ready to grow up. Whatever happens next, one thing remains clear. Meghan's fans are rallying behind her, hoping she'll find the tranquility and genuine love she deserves. If MGK intended to keep her bound by a baby, he has sorely miscalculated. And if Meghan is finally escaping this cycle of high-octane drama, then more power to her. She's done playing the role of supporting actress in MGK's turbulent storyline, and stepping into her own, real-life peace might just be the best plot twist of all.